Hi, everyone. Welcome to another live streaming event on Crypto Tips. Happy Monday. I'm Heidi.
And I'm Toby.
And today we're bringing you crypto news and, as always,
Economy.
The economy.
Lots of crazy stuff happening. So.
And the disaster that we're kind of watching slowly unfold.
Yeah, it's really actually coming to fruition. But first, crypto.
Yeah,
Let's see what's happening.
So, couple interesting, the doomsday clock. Dave D. Okay. So getting right into crypto, Toby, he's ready to go surfing. It's actually a big day here in Nazareth. So we're going to get through this live stream, bring you all the information.
This is the most important thing though. So let's do it.
He wants me to get through it so much. Okay.
And if you guys haven't seen it, I'm on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
On a movie called Magnetic. And it doesn't show in Australia. You have to have no VPN on to watch it. But if you want to see me in all my glory, check me out.
Yeah.
It was number 6 in the U.S.
It's a really well-made documentary.
Yeah.
So Magnetic on Netflix. Check it out
if
you haven't already. Because we have a movie star in our midst.
Kind of.
I'll ask for
you have a YouTube star here, which is way more important.
Stop. Okay. Okay, so the first article I want to go over is pretty much just highlighting this fact that Bitcoin investors are treating 2020 as an accumulation phase. And we are seeing that in the relatively boring price movements of Bitcoin. Kind of, so Toby and I are always commenting on, it's pretty consistently bouncing around in this really specific price range.
It's really tight range,
yeah.
And that's just whale accumulation.
Yeah.
So, there's going to be people that are bored that are going to think, oh, it's going to plummet or something. You never know. This is the time to accumulate and hold. Because these guys are buying the crap out of Bitcoin right now. They're buying it up. I'm telling you right now. Like Paul Tudor Jones. When he comes out and says, oh yeah, I'm going to put 1 to 2% of my wealth in there. Do you understand what 1 or 2% of his wealth is? Huge. And, with the other hedge fund managers out there, seeing Paul Tudor Jones get into that, oh my gosh, it's going to be a feeding frenzy of billionaire hedge fund guys.
Yeah.
And then comes the retail right afterwards to just kind of icing on the cake.
We're just going to see a lot of people who were once very vocally against cryptocurrencies suddenly be very pro them. And that's happened with Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan. Now he was saying, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are a scam, and that his daughter was, what did he call her?
Bitcoin,
a fool for buying it. But now he's saying that they're actually promising.
But look at not what they say, but what they do. So Goldman Sachs actually said crypto's bad, whatever. And so I knew right then, oh my gosh, they're buying like crazy because they lie. They just lie. Yeah. That's all they're built off of is lies and theft. So, there you go.
So this article is going over evidence of this kind of accumulation, especially by whales, saying that it says, hold on. According to the latest data, wallets holding at least 1,000 Bitcoin, which I guess is how they're deciphering if you're a whale or not, saw an increase of roughly 1.5% in both May and June. That is including after the halving event, which is kind of notorious for seeing a dip in price. That didn't happen too dramatically this year. And additionally, it says that the number of Bitcoin whales has now increased to 1,840, with a sharp jump occurring in the aftermath of the halving. So the small dip that did happen, the people who were looking for a good time to enter into a position for Bitcoin did so and created themselves as a Bitcoin whale at that point. So yeah, I think a lot of people are seeing the upsides of taking up a position in Bitcoin, and we're seeing that now. So.
Yeah, and I think there's also an agreement between whales to not prop the price up too much as well.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And actually getting into this next article, it's talking about traditional investors, how they're flooding the Bitcoin market. And this one guy is warning of risk on and off moves, talking about, confidence in a market and balancing that with how risky that particular asset is. And he says that, let's see.
Wow, Ether just popped 5%? Wow, it's at 240. That's amazing.
Huh? Ethereum's doing something at least.
Interesting.
It says when investor sentiment is optimistic about the economy, geopolitics, and industry, riskier assets tend to get pricier, as in price appreciation. That is known as risk on. Conversely, when uncertainty or negativity hits the market, investors tend to sell these riskier assets and buy safer assets, ones that are typically less vulnerable to a weakened outlook or negative investor confidence. This is risk off. So I was thinking about this. There's this correlation between the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency markets and the stock market, but I think that there's a correlation for completely different reasons. Because who is buying up and propping up the stock market? And the Fed is propping up the stock market, and
they're propping up
all of these other investors
more than the stock market,
moving into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So they're both being, supported, but for completely different reasons.
Yeah. There's one that's going to be more sustainable for sure, which is crypto. The stock market is completely unsustainable, but that doesn't mean it's not going to go to 40, 50, 60,000. Who knows? Doesn't matter.
Mark D asks, why should I not be too worried about the whale manipulation of price in the mid to long term? Please explain. Did you already explain that? Sorry.
I mean, I'm not worried about it because I think they understand. The reason why the whales are in there and accumulating is because they understand where this is going. They understand how much central banks are printing around the world. That doesn't mean that there's not first going to be a deflation. But they do understand that the increase in money supply or currency supply is going to increase the price of coin as well. And they also understand that, big whales and hedge fund managers, which are pretty much whales, they understand that there's going to be a digital economy, full-on digital economy. And there's going to be smart contracts and decentralized finance. That's pretty much the way of the future. And they are not going to want to miss out on that. So, I mean, I don't think it's pretty much a bidding war at this point.
Also, as the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency market grows, the less effective the whales will be because there's going to be more people coming in that will absorb whatever kind of price movement, they're trying to encourage.
Yeah, there's much more liquidity right now.
Yeah. Gail, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I know you're commenting a lot on my videos. Gail, he says they create dependable volatility, which is pretty interesting, actually, concept to think about.
Yeah.
Dependable volatility.
That is. Yeah.
Especially when they're as consistent as they have been the past several weeks now. So hi everyone in the comments. Great to see you guys. I see you, Andre. I see you, Dave D. Andre again, Ceramic, HR77. Who else did I see in here?
I think
Tasman. Dan Cryptid. Good to see you guys all here. Okay.
So, so Gail says ETH is a SEC coin
he says,
with blind
you
followers.
also copy and paste that in every single one of
But I mean, you have to also understand, looking at ETH, you have to understand that this, regardless of what your position is, regardless of whether you think it's a scam or not, this is going to be a liquidity-driven market.
Yeah, fundamentals don't matter.
Who cares?
Unfortunately, yet.
You saw what happened to BitConnect.
Yeah.
BitConnect. That was a scam. Everybody knew it was a scam at $5. Thing went to $400 or something like that.
Yeah.
50 cents to $400. Ethereum actually has good developers. Whether you don't agree with that or not, I know for a fact they have good developers.
Yeah.
Whether or not you agree with that, that's fine. You don't have to. But I know they have smart people that are working on Ethereum. And I see there's a lot of problems. obviously with it. It's way too complicated and way too political. And if they don't fix their crap, yeah, it's going to hurt them a lot. But I still think it's going to succeed in the long run. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's when you have Ether Classic. So if you want to hedge your bet against Ether, go to Ether Classic because they have great development team as well. And they're the original chain. So
yeah. Anyways,
I can go on and on about that. I'm just saying, don't blow it by selling things because in the top 10 or 15, because you think it's a scam or whatever. You know what? Even Tron.
Don't say it. No, I'm cutting you off.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, but no thank you. Okay, so getting back to this article, I'm not going to let you say that.
I'm not saying invest in it. I'm just saying it's probably going to go way up.
It's probably going to go up, unfortunately, but I'm not trying to encourage people to get into that. They're also pointing out how, as these, like you mentioned, Paul Tudor Jones is saying Bitcoin is a good speculation. Jamie Dimon has come out saying cryptocurrencies are very promising. Additionally, who else?
The reason why he said that is because he has his position now.
Exactly. And that's what they're saying here is that they're taking positions, but they're not announcing it because either they're not done, taking their positions or their friends aren't done.
When they're bashing it, they are taking their position.
Yeah.
When they're praising it, they already have it.
Yeah.
Do what you want with it.
And then it ends by saying, if power brokers and rich hedge fund managers are piling up Bitcoin, it won't be long before the general public considers it necessary to own some as well.
That's going to be past 20,000 in my opinion.
And they're going to be chasing it. I'm sorry. The masses are not going to be taking advantage of
they're going to
being early adopters.
When we tell you to not buy a coin that's popping, it's already popped like 300%, like that's compound one. I would not chase that. Please don't chase that.
Yeah.
Just freaking chill out.
Yeah.
But it's the masses that will chase coins like that. And yeah, that's how
it's kind of, for us, it's kind of like a two-tiered attack or plan. It's like we understand the long-term fundamentals of certain cryptocurrencies and we have put our money accordingly. Yeah. But we're also realistic to know that, like we've said many times before, it will be a liquidity driven market. And, if you have money to, this whole cryptocurrency space is pretty much a speculation, but if you have like money to especially speculate with highly speculative coins, you don't care if it's going to zero, the risk reward ratio is really high. Then
I personally don't think Bitcoin is speculation.
No. Well, okay, but
that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But it's good to have, your feet set on the ground in reality, and unfortunately, for like the purists or for the ones who like have really strong philosophies on how cryptocurrencies should be, I think I personally fall into that group, but I also know, if you're interested in like, seeing some returns, it's not unrealistic to think that coins, we've seen it for like 10 years now, coins that don't deserve to see price appreciation, they see it anyway, just like BitConnect. Yeah. So last article I'm going to talk about is talking about getting recognition by, big names. Land Rover had an advertisement, and within it, they're talking about their 50 years of innovation, and along the way of those 50 years, they're naming notable events in history.
Bitcoin.
And not like the invention of the internet. There's like the people they found water on Mars, and Bitcoin was invented in 2009. So it's really cool that is included in there. Yeah. So for those of us who have been in this space for so long, it's cool to see it like kind of becoming more mainstream, even though
it's really weird actually, because when I first started, nobody had a clue what it was. Like very few people. I'd be like, oh, nobody knows. This is just something I'm going to keep to myself my whole life. That's literally what I thought. And it's super weird to see people like crypto Twitter and like all these popular guys on Twitter. Like, wow, like where were they back then?
Yeah.
Like,
but
okay,
it's
whatever.
Just a part
cool.
of it. It can't be super
just
pure
weird.
and grassroots for so long.
That's great.
Yeah. HR 777 says, talk to the programmers. They can tell you which coins are good ones, have good software. That's a great point too. And, exploring these different Telegram groups, not Telegram, excuse me, that's like a scam, Central, like different Discord groups of particular coins, get to know the developers of them, you can, it's a really easy way to get insider information, not insider information, but just people generally in this space are happy to share their opinion one way or another. And the more you explore that, the better you can form an educated opinion on, what to look for, why they feel this way. It's a great. I mean,
they are going to know, like I'm friends with a lot of amazing programmers, and they share with me like what they think is a good coin as well, and then also have my opinions as well. And sometimes they don't always line up. Yeah. And so, for instance, like when Dash was at $3, I'm like, I'm buying this thing, and they're like, I don't know about that. It doesn't have that great of a community. I'm like, I think it does. I think it's going to actually do pretty good. And lo and behold, it went to $1,600 from $3. Yeah. So, it's also the marketing team behind it as well. Yeah. There's a lot of great projects out there. There's one called 8-Bit. And that's a really good team behind that, but their marketing just...
There's plenty of coins like that.
Yeah, that's just one of them. Yeah. So there's a lot of great coins out there that aren't scams, but scams seem to be a higher...
Well, if they had an ICO and then, they have a centralized supply that's, controlled by one person and they're blowing it on marketing, like Justin Sun is notorious for doing, then they're going to get attention and, trickle-down effect. They're going to get investors, but are they actually providing things?
I mean, if you had a 7-year-old attention whore like Justin Sun, then you wouldn't struggle too much with putting out your coin. But not everybody has that.
Okay, so we're gonna shift over to the global economic update.
Okay,
Toby's gonna send us to.
Now, guys, I've been telling everybody for the last it's been 5 months.
5 months. Yeah.
5 months. I've been saying, guys, watch out for real estate. Watch out for real estate. Pretty much every time, and now we're kind of getting the fruits of the government shutdown. 30% of Americans, I'm going to go through this a lot, pretty fast, but 30% of Americans missed their housing payment in June. This is only going to get worse and worse and worse, because if people can't get money from their houses, what's going to happen to their houses? So and also with their payments as well that they have to make to the bank, they're not making a lot of money. So it's a double-edged sword on that one. A lot of construction
going on.
Yeah, it's horrible. So moving on, this just backs up what I've been saying. Nearly half of Americans consider selling home as government crushes finances. So I'm just going to say government. Because as Confucius once said, the beginning of wisdom is calling things by their correct name. And
Richard Stallman is a great embodiment of that. He's like if you guys are interested in like digging into someone interesting in this crypto space and like kind of building on this whole... He's not a fan of the open source philosophy, but it's like the free software movement. And Richard Stallman is a really interesting person to get to know. He's done a few interviews, and he's someone who's like pretty strict on calling things what they are. And it's really interesting seeing his point of mind of like for people who are calling themselves content creators, he thinks that's just atrocious, because number one, content, that's such a bland, undescriptive
like when they
word.
Say
and then creator,
you're one of the top content creators. I'm like, no, she's like one of the greatest freaking educators in this space. Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So
but just calling yourself like a creator, like you've created something, like you're God or something. So anyway, it's interesting to understand language, and it does have implications, and it's something that probably gets taken for granted.
For sure.
So anyway, you're gonna start calling things for what they are.
Yeah.
Huh?
So government crushes finances, and this is just more of this. This article came out before the other one, so now you're going to have huge amounts of supply on the market, and so what's the Fed gonna print up a bunch of cash to buy a bunch of mortgages now?
Well, they already did. They're already doing that.
I know.
They're already owning so much of the market.
And they're gonna continue to buy more to prop up the bubble. It's gonna be a crazy bubble.
Oh, sorry. Are you looking at this?
I was gonna do the next one.
Okay.
Okay, so on this side of the pond, EU car sales crashed 57% as Europe grapples with massive inventory glut, and just nobody's buying cars. So you're gonna see great deals on cars. Just letting you know, like if you have the cash. Yeah. So for instance, Bitcoin's gonna be, in my opinion, over the next year or so, is going to gradually be going up. It could just skyrocket. Who knows? You don't know. But I think it's the trajectory is up. Yes, we're going to have our dips and stuff, and you probably should take advantage of that, as we will. But I think trajectory is up, but the cost of things will deflate, like cars, and housing. So if it's like you're exponentially making more or obtaining more value by holding Bitcoin. That's going up while something else is going down in price. So you're riding that wave of deflation, which is brilliant, So if, by the time Bitcoin kind of finishes its run a little bit, or even, 50% of it or 20% of until it's high of this next bull, I mean, I don't think you're going to need much to go ahead and buy whatever you've, wanted. So yeah, I think there's a lot of pain ahead. Okay. So the Fed this is a great article. The Fed is going to start buying individual corporate bonds. Okay, guys, ignore these guys.
Read between the lines for us,
They've
Toby.
been buying this for a really long time, and that's why their balance sheet is exploding, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. You haven't seen anything yet because they need to prop up this economy. If they don't prop it up, it's going to go back to fair value, but they can't allow that. So, like for instance, oil, the price of oil. There's no planes flying hardly. Barely any planes flying, but oil's at like $30-something dollars a barrel. Why? There's nothing out there. You can't, I mean, there's only so much so many places you can put barrels of oil. I mean, eventually people are gonna catch on and go, okay, well, there's 300 tankers out the sea completely full with barrels of oil that nobody's using, but the price of oil keeps going up. Okay, it's, I think governments know this is probably going to happen as well. So, so they're going to keep buying the stock market as well, and they're going to keep buying up corporate debt, and they're going to keep buying up a lot of different things. So, yeah.
And that's just a sign of a really healthy economy.
Yeah, really healthy.
It's a really good
What
sign.
could go wrong, when you have the Fed nationalizing everything, buying up everything. So, yeah. Next.
It takes a while for it to switch over.
Okay. So this guy blows my mind. He's a billionaire hedge fund guy on CNBC. Yeah, I know it's a joke, CNBS. But this guy says this will end in tears. Cooperman, who is...
He cussed live on air. He must have been very passionate.
Oh, gosh, I know. Cooperman disses Robinhood traders, says equity valuations don't make any sense. How do they not make any sense? Obviously they make sense of where they are because the Fed is printing up cash out of thin air, putting it in there. That's why they don't make sense. How did these people not get it? I mean, either he's playing stupid.
Or maybe he's trying to inspire people to be like, well, why don't they make sense? Maybe? Is he playing devil's advocate?
No, he just doesn't understand. Because it would explain, I don't understand these billionaire hedge funds. I think I would think they would know that the Fed is printing up unlimited cash out of thin air and putting into the market, but who knows? Whatever. So.
Hey, David, I'm glad you made the live stream. Sorry to cut you off. You said he never catches the live part.
Oh, hey, Dave. What's up?
HR 777 says, who are the whales manipulating oil?
One guy's named John. One guy is named
Becky.
They are, the Fed is buying up crap tons of oil through central banks because they need to keep it up. I mean, oil is the lifeblood of the military industrial complex, as Gregory Manarino. And he's completely right. And it's attached to the petrodollar. So, they have to keep the price of oil up. They just do. So you're probably going to see it being manipulated until the dollar no longer exists in its form right now. Like they're putting cash, they're ending cash, they're putting it on the fast track of ending it right now as we talk. So yeah, get used to what you'll probably see is just all digital currencies, and governments, are not going to waste their time during instances such as these government forced lockdowns, because they're going to take advantage of it, and they are going to push things that you could not believe, as I show you right now.
For example,
what happened in Russia? Okay, so this is all right. So this is the app, an app that Russians had to download. All right, and if they don't obey it, they get fined. So to track. Okay, so this the worst virus tracking act?
Okay, this is easier.
Okay, yeah. Is this the worst virus tracking app? To track those who have caught the thing, the city of Moscow implemented a social monitoring app. This app is supposed to ensure that residents stay safe in their homes by demanding selfies at random intervals. It also tracks their locations using GPS. Those who don't upload a selfie, providing they're still at home, face a fine of about $56 each time, according to the Associated Press. But the app, which first launched in the beginning of April, isn't working as intended. It's reported buggy, crashing frequently, and causing many to accumulate hundreds of dollars in fines, a huge sum for the Russian working class. So I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but
links for all these articles are down below in the video description.
These are the types of things that governments will be trying to cram down your throat. So it's really important to know, kind of where they are headed, especially with countries that do have the ability to implement such draconian measures.
And so quickly, they can't even work out the bugs that are costing people hundreds of dollars that they can't afford.
Stressing the crap out of people that have already stressed because
just kicking them while they're down.
Gosh, man. These people are sick. But I'm telling you right now, the most intelligent, most creative programmers in the world are not working on things like this.
Yeah.
They will refuse to work on things like this. These are programmers that just need money. That's it. That's all. The best programmers in the world do not need money. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you that much right now. They have plenty of it. And yeah, that's that.
Yeah.
They're not going to work on that.
So that's what we have for you guys today. Just as a reminder for those of you who are members of the CT Club of my Patreon account, I got a class going, a new class for you guys that is going to cover many, many hardware wallet options. what you can expect by using them, what kind of security they're offering, tips and tricks and all that stuff. So it'll be a very in-depth class as usual. That is happening on Thursday, June 25th at noon Eastern time. So if you guys are in the CT Club, don't miss it. And if you want to...
Let me just answer a couple more questions. Okay, this person asks, Josh Atkinson asks, do you think that U.S. rates will ever go negative?
Yeah.
100%.
They can't do anything else.
They can never go back up. I'll just tell you that much right now.
This guy says, wow, can we troll them with selfies?
Yeah, right.
Just flood them
exactly.
like DDoS attack. Yeah, that's such a good idea.
Pretty much. So,
with like your dog, like photos of your dog or just random photos.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So, yeah, anyways, just wanted to get that. That's a really good question. So I tell a lot of people that, expect negative interest rates, and they laugh at me. Some of them laugh at me. I'm like, guys, I'm just telling you, it's going to happen sooner than later. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, he's saying Canada is looking at negative rates.
Yeah, that's that. And also kind of off the topic of negative interest rates, but as far as taxes, I'm hearing a lot of reports that major countries like Canada are going to implement like the U.S., what the U.S. does, where they will chase you for your overseas income. Because right now the U.S. and Eritrea are the only countries in the world that actually will tax you on your global overseas income, no matter how long you've been away for.
If you're a citizen. Period.
Yeah, but Eritrea doesn't have the government to go ahead and chase after you. They don't have the treaties like the U.S. does. And so Canada, expect it. The UK, expect it. Australia, expect it. These countries that have really gnarly governments, those are the countries that will implement things like that. And just so don't be surprised when they do. But there's good news out there that, Heidi posts on her Twitter, and she also did a video on like how to get a St. Kitts citizenship. Mm-hmm. So because you can see these things actually happening, you can kind of opt out. You can go.
There's other ways to gain citizenships without having to invest money in in a fund or buying property. Like you can just live there, establish residency, and there are several countries that allow you to ultimately, after several years, apply for citizenship. So for those of you who think maybe like you can't afford it or there's no other options for you, just search it out and you might be surprised what can work for you.
Yeah, because there's literally nothing more freeing than being able to, spend your money without having to declare it to anybody else, because it's literally nobody else's business but yourself. Mm-hmm. So I'll end it at that. Yeah.
Well, we certainly appreciate you guys all here on the live stream. Every Sunday, I offer a free newsletter. Give you some little thoughts on, or more in-depth thoughts on crypto space, what it's all about, what I'm looking at recently. So you can go to learningcrypto.com and sign up for the newsletter there. There's also a link for it down below in the video description. Yeah. Till then, I'll be seeing the CT Club for that class on Wednesday, and I'll be putting a video out on crypto tips, a regular old educational great video sometime after that. So until then, I hope you guys are staying happy and healthy, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Hold on. It's okay.
Is it ended? It says...
Did it end?
I don't know. I know.